I would like to see more communication from our community of just saying like, well, hey, check out this open source thing for this. So use the comment section to be able to say, hey, here's another great resource if you're interested in this. I'm needing to find a cheap way to build a wrestling ring though. So if anybody's like, oh, you could
Oh, is that one?
open source
Open
a
source
wrestling
ring.
ring, yeah, oh, great. That they normally cost $8,000. Can I open source it for 500?
Hello, hello, welcome to the Upsiders.
Mhm. Yes.
Hello, y'all. How's it going? I can't hear you, but I assume you're doing
We're
well.
good. I'll speak for
Bertram,
them.
Bertram,
We're all
how's it
doing
going?
fine on this side of the camera.
Well, whether it's my co-host Bertram, or the audience, what up if you're watching?
Hmm.
Welcome to another episode of the Upsiders, where we talk about some of the breakthroughs, some of the great work that's going around on the issues that we all like to worry about that we might not even be aware of, or that might just be dominating the headlines. But we're looking at the good side of things,
Yeah.
solutions rather. So, not just the problems, closing the loop there. So, I'm one of your hosts, Los, artist formerly known as Los, aka your friendly neighborhood Los. And as always, I'm joined by
Open source Bertram. You
oh,
just, the
for the
improvements are
people,
for free.
democratized.
Yeah, man. Anybody can just come in and improve Mr. Bertram. Okay, he's taking on all comers. He's listening. He's weighing everybody's opinions. Keep putting that stuff in that comment section. We want to just keep getting better.
Subscribe,
Mm. Oh,
follow,
yeah.
tell your
Subscribe.
friends,
Tell us
family.
everything. We're just trying to get better for you wherever you are.
Exactly. Oh, and yeah. So, Bertram,
Mm,
you mentioned open source.
I did.
Someone clicked on this episode already, so they already know.
Yeah.
But okay,
That's so
let's
long
talk
ago I
about
don't
open
remember.
source.
Okay, I can.
So when you say
Uh,
open source, what do you mean?
it could be software, but it could also be physical things that is essentially free redistribution. So it doesn't restrict any party from selling or giving away software. You can get source codes. Essentially, it's like things that we all work on together. Nobody really owns it. I don't want to speak out of turn. Nowhere did I see in my research like, well, nobody technically owns it. I'm like, there probably is some people who own it, right? But you could redistribute it for free. You can use the source code. You could derive works from it. You can't discriminate against person or groups. No discrimination against fields of endeavor. And it's stuff that we all just kind of work on together to make the world a better place.
Okay. So
How
someone
would you
makes
define it?
something and then
Oh,
they
go
let
ahead.
other people use it, change it, work
Yeah.
on it.
Like essentially, hey,
Basically,
man,
yeah.
you want to borrow my shovel? Just make sure when you bring it back, maybe you can make a little few improvements upon it, right?
Yeah, but make sure, yeah. And
I
do
made
I
this shovel
give
for the
you credit
community.
under this?
Yeah,
Do you always have to say it's my shovel when you're using it?
I think. Well, I think you're supposed to, right? You're like, hey, I got this shovel from Bertram. You should give credit where credit's due, my man. Come on, like, um, but you you
Yeah.
you should not. Here's what you're not supposed to do, right? You can't borrow my shovel and then start charging
Uh,
other people to use my shovel. That's
hmm,
you're not supposed to do that, Los.
hmm. Is there a is there a path for me to do that if I wanted to? Like, could I get your permission in any way?
Well, now you're. What am I, a lawyer? What am I,
Just
Saul
asking.
Goodman? I
I'm
don't
just
think you're
asking
supposed to.
questions here.
Yeah, I think you can use that, right? I
Hmm.
think you can turn it into something else. Man, you're well. I got to talk to Saul Goodman. But yeah, I think you could take it and turn it into something else and use it to make improvements in your own life. But that actual that actual project in open source you can't take and make your business. Do I have that correct? You're sitting here testing me. I didn't know this was an
I'm
exam, Los.
just
I didn't know this was an
curious.
AP
I'm just
exam.
being a curious cat here. So, and that's what we're talking about, everyone. Yes. So open source, but mainly in the
Yeah,
context of software. But as we'll talk about, I'm sure later, you mentioned that hardware could also fall into that. So for those who
yeah.
don't
There's some
know,
really cool things going on.
software, if we just start from the ABCs, software is something that you can't tangibly like touch, right? So it's usually virtual
Yes.
software. It's the way, yeah, it's the way your phone works. You know, it's using an operating system. That's software. If you're on Instagram, YouTube, you're watching this. YouTube is a form of software to
Yeah.
serve you videos. So yeah, that's software. Where always
Yeah.
hardware is like this microphone that I'm talking on, or the computer that I'm using, or the cup that I'm drinking from. That's all examples
Mm.
of hardware.
Is your
So
cup
yeah,
open
just getting the
source?
basics out the way. Maybe it's a cup of cozy. That's what it is here.
Well, pass that on over here. Let me take a sip.
It's not open source. So when we
Oh,
say, yeah, okay. So when we mention open source, and I'll just look, let's just do this here. I'm on Wikipedia right now. They're just giving us the
boo.
plain vanilla definition. So again, open source software, this is what we're talking about when we're looking at the definition. Open source software is computer software that is released under a license in which the copyright holder grants the users the rights to use, study, change, and distribute the software and its source code to anyone
Mm.
for any purpose. That's a large focus here. There's a lot of benefits to having things open source as
Yeah.
opposed to Bertram. What's the opposite of open source?
Private enterprise?
A closed model, right?
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, so before we get into the nuts and bolts, I mentioned your phone, right? Got an iPhone right
Mm.
here. You have an iPhone right here. iOS, that's the software that the phone is running on, is an example of closed software, meaning Apple owns everything. Hey, they sell a product that you can use the software on, and they give some access in terms of like, if you want to make an app for this, we'll give you the tools. But in terms of the source code, right, like the operating system itself, only Apple uses it. You don't have a license to use it on if you make your Bertram phone, you can't use that. Whereas someone with Android, Android is largely open source, meaning anyone who decides they want to make a phone, they have access to
Yeah.
Android and they could spruce it up and, dress it up in any given way. And as long as in somewhere they say it's using Android, they're free to use it. And so that's the school of thought here. Do you want to
Yeah.
be open or do you want to be closed? Closed allows one party to really control the experience, curate it, you know, really
Yeah.
drive that. While open source allows just everyone to say, hey, I think this is a good idea. This is a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think you need both in a robust economy. One way that in my research, I found them talking about it was that open source is kind of like the roads, and then what you just said, like the iOS is that's your corporations, that's some of your destinations. But I think about the internet being open source, right? There's these things that it's a communal collaboration where we're all working together to make a lot of fast evolutions, right? Because that is one of the big benefits of open source is that you're able to go a lot faster in a time of crisis.
What are some components or terms that we should know about open source?
Oh man. Well, Does that
You
get me
mentioned
to?
free redistribution, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else we got? So what's the source code?
Low source code is a text listing of commands to be compiled or assembled into an executable computer program.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I kept thinking of the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. I can't. Dang you, Gyllenhaal, for getting that movie stuck in my head. So when you're like, "What's source code?" I'm like, the action movie is on a train." Um, yeah, human readable text written by programmers that contains the instructions for a computer program, which I imagine that's probably the heart of what source code or what open
Yeah.
source was, right? Is that specifically sharing the source code? But I think it's evolved to take on a lot more, and we get into that with the hardware.
Yeah. So basically, in a non-technical term, it's the recipe for what you
Yeah.
made.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, hey, I could give you access to, this apple pie that I made, and you could do whatever you want with it. No, no Jason Biggs, but
What? Oh my! You can't say that.
but
Don't you be don't you be Jason Biggs and pies in here.
but if I don't give you if I don't give you the ingredients, right, my recipe, then you could only do so much, right? If
Yeah.
you wanted to serve that in your own restaurant,
Oh, you could do something all right.
but
We'll
yeah,
just tell your mom we ate it.
sorry, but
Oh my goodness. I can't
it's the
believe you.
recipe
Yeah.
for what you
You could
made.
do,
Yeah,
you could do whatever you
source
want
code
with
is
the
there.
recipe apparently. You could really take it in another direction. My goodness, man. Yeah, what I like is it allows for a lot of peer review and open access. So it enables users to build on existing software, which really cuts down on time to market and reducing resource expenditure. Speaking of that, should we get into a really cool site if you want to bring it up?
Oh, sure. Let's
Oh
what do you
man,
got
I
for us?
I think it's so one of the sites that I visited is what are people doing with open source that is outside of source code and software? So there's the Open Source Ecology Project, where
Mm.
they are open sourcing blueprints for civilization. And if you click
Ooh.
on that, you could always pull it up, young Jamie. Um, they're
All right, Jamie.
building
Open source, which one
industrial.
was it called?
So open, yeah, the Open Source Ecology Project.
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay,
They're
great.
developing open source industrial machines that can be made for a fraction of the commercial cost and sharing the designs online for free.
Ooh, okay. So there, let's just pull this up here.
Yeah, please. And then I'm going to give
There.
you another site that shoots off of that. And that one's really cool too, because they're trying to cut down on costs for farming projects and how to build a
Mm.
civilization. So you'll see all sorts of, tools, which I say agricultural, but there's way more, right? There's like laser cutters on here. There's 3D printers. Yeah. And what I thought was really interesting about this list that we should look into is the Future Builders Academy. It says right down there. Are you looking for an alternative to college or like a midlife correction and learning how to build some of these things? It seems really cool. Yeah, right there. How to solve
Yeah,
problems.
that
I would
is
like to
cool.
get some of my students in here. Well, realistically, I'd like to join it because currently I don't have heat in my house, Los, because the HVAC went out
What?
yesterday.
You live in
So
Indiana. What's going on? You're gonna freeze, buddy.
yeah, I know. Yeah, so
Okay.
you might not see
As long as you
production
know
next
that.
week. Yep, we're gonna freeze to death. So I just been trying to fix it, right, and trying to. I was like, I have a house that's almost 100 years old. I would like to build some new things that are a little bit newer.
Pull it
It
up,
is
Jamie.
the global village construction set. So all those pictures that you just saw of all the different tools, it actually
Mm.
has the cost breakdown of what it would take to open source build these prototypes. Okay, so it has the blueprints for all of these uh, sets. Go on down, keep going, and then it has, yeah, how many people are building
Oh,
those
got
things.
some prices here.
This is what I loved. So this is the cost comparison. So what you see all the way on the right is how
Yeah.
much does this thing retail for, and then on the left is how much can you build it. The first number is with labor, and then the second number is just parts. So, for example, a
Wow.
3D printer might retail at $4,500. But if you look over the left for parts, it would just cost you $1,000 with their blueprints, and with labor, $1,700. Now, I
Wow.
started to get curious and I looked down and said, well, what are some really great markups? So, for example, a bulldozer will run you $138,000,
Are you
but
looking for a bulldozer?
yeah, you're dang right I am. So you can get a bulldozer for open source for $20,000, Lo. So if anybody
So
wants
that's
a
a
20,000,
83% discount with manual
yeah.
and materials.
Oh man, the craziest one I think was a laser printer. If you keep going, but I wanted to look for the big numbers. So let's see if we can find some other like six-figure ones. Um,
So a bioplastic and is that one of
that's
them? Oh, the
31,000.
bulldozer was
Yeah, the
130. Oh
bulldozer.
yeah.
Keep going
Okay.
down. There's a
That
couple
was
other really big ones.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
three
induction
hundred thousand
furnace.
dollars for a micro combine, and you could parts it for $8,000. Los.
Crazy.
Laser
It's
cutter,
nuts.
300. What was the laser cutter? Can we see that one again?
Laser
Sorry, I think that
cutter.
was the one you were pointing to, and I was looking at the micro combine. Laser cutter,
Oh
three
yeah, that's
thousand dollars, but it cost $300,000. That's
a
insane.
98% discount.
Wow.
Crazy.
So you see what I'm
Wild.
saying? This would really change. This is life changing. If you're in
Yeah.
any of these industries, you would have to have the capital to go out and buy some of these things. But look how many of them parts are just $1,000. What do you
Wow.
make of this,
Yeah.
Los? Did it blow your mind like it did mine?
This is crazy. My mind is pretty blown right now. Yeah.
Man, you're about
Wow.
to Jason Biggs this Google sheet over here.
If if you don't mind.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about, right? Is that open source can drastically cut down on costs as well as
Mhm.
speed up the time frame for innovation. So I really like that it makes things more affordable because, geez, Liz, we do a lot of episodes on talking about affordability and how people just have it hard monetarily, having a hard time making ends meet, and just trying to help people, um, you know, eh, lighten the load on their pocketbook.
Yeah. Wow. So you brought up, yeah. So like COVID you mentioned. And
Yeah.
so yeah, this is one that you shared with us here. Open source ventilator project. So
Oh, yeah. So I talked about that one because medicine was the first thing that I looked into for open source because open source became a big deal during the pandemic because that was a time where all of a sudden all of our um, all of our pipelines, all of our systems they were completely useless to us, right? We're fighting this pandemic. We're fighting this disease that we don't have a cure for. So how do you speed along research and make sure it's still safe and all those things? So the MIT Emergency Ventilator project is another one where they open source a lot of their materials and allow people to use it. There's the National Library of Medicine did a study on it, and it said open source hardware may address the shortage in medical devices for patients with low income and chronic respiratory diseases in low resource countries. So go ahead and take a look at that in the show notes if you're there. And then I thought of John Green, the guy, Indianapolis native, wrote Fault in Our Stars, Paper Towns, and Turtles All the Way Down. He came out with a new book that I got to go to. He received an award from Indiana University for his book Tuberculosis is Everything and Everything is Tuberculosis. And I got to go see him and get a signed copy of his book. And what he studied was that, have you heard about this book? Have we talked about this, Los?
no, we haven't talked about this. No.
It's a real
Yeah.
it's a real Los topic. We would have had a long discussion about it. So essentially the issue that John Green noticed is that tuberculosis is basically curable in the United States in that we know how to treat tuberculosis, which I didn't even know tuberculosis was still around. I thought it was, the Wild Western disease that you get in Red Dead Redemption, and I thought they had eradicated it. And it turns out we are great at treating it. Oh, go back up to that graph. Look at
Yeah, this
that.
is
Tuberculosis was once killing almost 1% of London's population every single year. And you
wow.
look at how it goes down. Oh, okay. So by 1950, it reduced drastically. What's messed up, Los, is that in Africa, they're still fighting tuberculosis. And so John Green
That's really
thought,
sad.
how insane is that? That in this country, we know how to fight it and we don't have people dying of tuberculosis, yet in other places, they're dying all the time of tuberculosis. And so some of these places are looking at into getting life-saving machines from open source. So engineers in Silicon Valley are able to, open source some of these things that can eventually make a drastic change in world tuberculosis rates.
Mm, that's
It's
cool
insane.
that
Yeah.
we have that.
Tuberculosis is everything and everything is
Tuberculosis is
tuberculosis.
not
Good book.
cool, but yeah.
No, no, but
And
being able, I think John Green did a really great job of highlighting this problem, and now open source is hopefully going to
this is the
find a way
book.
to stop this. Yeah. Oh man, awesome book.
Beautiful
Great
cover.
writer. So in my research for this, we talk about how important open sources is as a key driver in areas where adaptability and rapid innovation are essential. Those big fields are healthcare, education, and environmental technology, which we already basically talked about two of them. Education, which I'm in the education field, and I had to say, wait, which ones are open source? And then I realized when you were in school, did you use OER Commons?
No, I never heard of it.
Man, I think I used it in college a bunch because essentially it's like a public digital library that gives you a bunch of educational resources. Because man, everyone knows in college that they kill you with those textbook costs, right? Oh, this
Oh yeah.
textbook's gonna cost $150. Like, okay, I want to sell it back. No, we got a new, the fourth version's coming out next year, so this one's now worthless. And so OER Commons is a really good place to help fight that. And improve curriculum. So it's an awesome place to find a lot of educational resources.
Right. And so, like, one takeaway, Bertram, while we're
Yeah.
on this, and a recurring theme I've noticed is that with open source, things tend to be cheaper or in many
Mm,
cases free.
yeah.
That's cool.
Absolutely, man. Why,
So
yeah.
we need more of this, right? What's stopping us?
Oh man. Wait a minute. That's the downside.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk about how people are just trying to fight open
No, let's
source
not
and
do
cripple it
that.
all the time. That's Mad Mad World. We'll cover that one on the other podcast. Fighting against open source on Mad Mad World. That'll be our comeback episode, okay?
I'm fine. We have a deal.
Okay.
Okay.
Um can I talk about the unsung hero of the episode this week?
Please, that's our new segment, one of our new segments. Yeah.
So, Los, you don't have to talk
Yeah.
about. So I learned that a lot of things from source code and a lot of open source things have come from Linux. And I'm going to need Mr. Computer to explain what Linux is to me like I'm a 10-year-old.
But as in Linux, the operating system?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Do
as I
you use
explain,
Linux?
no,
Really?
I've used Linux in various points with projects and learning stuff. But
Okay.
no, I don't
Are
use
you not an
Linux.
expert on Linux, Los? Did I catch you?
I
Did I
am
catch you
I'm not in
unguarded?
no, so I'm keenly aware of what Linux is. I'm just
Okay.
prefacing that I'm not a Linux expert. So we talked about uh, earlier when we were defining open source, and I gave the example of iOS versus um, uh,
Yes.
Android, right?
Right. Right.
So operating system, let's hold on to that. Linux is an open source operating system that goes back to like the 90s. It's like um, if you look it up, the its like mascot is like a penguin. I don't know
Yeah.
the origin of
Yeah.
why it's a penguin. But Linux, yeah, is an operating system that is open source. And so there's been so many innovations that have come of it. And there's a lot of existing systems that use Linux internally. Um, and it's been like a shadow innovation in the tech world for a long time
Yeah.
now. Um, but yeah, that's basically what Linux is. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So that brings us to our unsung hero of the upside, Linus Torvalds. He was a Finnish and American software engineer who was the creator and lead developer of the Linux system, the specifically like the Linux kernel. Apparently, Linus.
Was is he no longer with
No,
us?
no, he's still
Okay.
around. Uh, he got his motivation from when he was looking for more affordable systems to run his personal computer. So the dude just decided to start start his own, like apparently every person does. And said, "Yeah, this isn't good. I'm going to start my own with his personal computer." So it was a hobby of his to start Linux. And I think Linux created the idea of a kernel. I think that's right, Los. I think he came.
Um,
Essentially, the kernel is a core program of an operating system. It's the first thing loaded into memory when a computer boots up, and it stays there until you shut the computer down. Think of the kernel as like a CEO or like a master translator of your computer. Its main function is to manage all the computer's resources and mediate between the hardware and the software. And so, man, that was Linus Torvalds who came up with Linux and all that stuff. And because of him, we have a lot of stuff that can be more readily available to be open source. So for him, he's our unsung hero of the upside today. Thank you, Linus,
great.
who may have
Shout
been
out to
named after
Linus.
may have been named that after the Peanuts character, Charlie Brown. Oh, Linus
Maybe.
with the blanket. I think I read that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And for that reason, kernel is also our vocabulary word of the day. So the kernel, the
Yeah.
CEO of the computer. Thank you, kernels.
I think but just to correct in case, people ever navigate to our YouTube comments and try and
Oh,
correct
please.
this, fact checkers. Kernel is original in terms of it's been around as long as software has been around. So Linux wasn't the first operating system. So the idea of a kernel
Oh,
didn't
he didn't come up with
originate
the
with
kernel.
Linux.
Oh, dang.
No.
Oh, man. I could hear the comment. I could hear the commenters now.
No. Yeah. So in I mean, I guess the value of why Linux is so great is that that kernel is open. And so that's what you could utilize across so many different applications, whereas, you don't have very limited, if any, access to other operating systems, kernels, unless they, you know, release them to what you could use, basically. They give you permission as to what you could use. But with Linux, it's basically, here, you have a buffet of kernels,
Yeah,
so to speak. Yeah.
which, think of every time that you open Google, you check Instagram, you stream a video, essentially you're using things like Linux and Apache, which are two world changing projects that cost $0, Los. If you think of the
Mhm.
internet as a city, the roads, the plumbing, the electrical grid, that's all open source. So, it's built by
Yeah.
volunteers. The internet is a $20 trillion infrastructure built on a gift economy.
So what are some, let's do some like mythbusters, right?
Are you ready for our
For,
reality check, Los?
yeah, I think I'm
Okay.
ready for that.
Okay, I'm going to give you so if you're new to the Upsiders, this is where we do a reality check where I'm going to give Los five rapid fire statements and he has to decide whether they are real or myth. and Los is undefeated in this game, I believe.
And I have no idea what he's gonna
And
ask me. I
he's
just
got
know
no idea.
this is our segment. Yeah.
Are you ready, handsome?
All right, let's see. Give it to me.
All right. Here we go. Open source
Yeah.
software is mostly coded by college students and hobbyists working on pet projects. Real or myth?
Myth
Why?
is mostly used by who in college students?
Hobbyists. You're a
Hobbyists.
hobbyist.
No,
You
anyone can
create
work on
open
it. I
source.
mean, it could be companies, it could be hobbyists, it could be students, it could be
Typically
everybody.
engineers. Yeah.
Typically. Yeah.
Okay, so you said myth. You are correct. Claim. If I download and use open source software, I have to make my own code open source too. You
Myth.
said that
Yeah.
earlier. Why? Why myth?
Well, because part of open source is your ability to license it and use in whatever context you want, but that's not that's not restricting you from making your product free for someone to use. So, like my example
Yeah.
with Android, right? If you make the Bertram phone, yeah, you had free access to Android, but now that this is a product that you made, you get to sell Bertram phone for money. You're
I
not
have a new
you're not
idea.
at no obligation to do so. If you want to, if you want to be just as sweet as, Linus, you
As
can,
sweet
but
as
you
an
don't
apple
have to.
pie. Um, yeah, absolutely. So you're correct. And one like the MIT license that we saw earlier, it lets you use the code privately without opening your own product's code. Um, Next claim. The operating system that runs most of the internet is an open source project.
I would say that's a fact. Yeah.
That's Linux.
Yeah.
90% of the world's public cloud servers and the vast majority of supercomputers. Right on. Next claim. Open source only applies to software. You can't have open source physical products like cars or computers.
We just we just spent 3/4 of the episode showcasing open
Just
source
making sure
hardware.
you,
So
well,
yeah.
maybe you weren't paying attention. I don't know. And then last one. Open source code is usually full of bugs and less secure because anyone can look at the vulnerabilities.
It's a myth. I think it's less likely to have a lot of issues and vulnerabilities as a result of being available and free for all.
Correct. Yeah, you end up getting a lot more experts who are available to
Yeah.
audit it. I think back to the first question, right, is that a lot of critical open source is maintained by engineers and professionals. So, yeah, you're
Mhm.
5 for 5 once again. Ding, 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 you
Oh,
won,
look at
Los.
me.
Man,
Nice.
your winner
Great. So
is you get to close the episode.
oh, okay. So yeah, hopefully y'all everyone had a good time talking about open source with us today. Yeah, the use cases, what it is, the value of it, how it could save you a lot of money and serve as a force of good out in the world. And we're not saying everything should be closed, but we should be open to open source in many different
Mm,
contexts.
well said.
Bertram, you have anything else to add?
I just hope that you will all start doing some digging. We put quite a few things in the show notes. I think of if you're in a place where you're spending a lot of money on something, try and look into seeing if there is an open source available, right? So if it's, hey, I'm going to school and I need some resources, some textbooks, things of that nature, hey, check out that OER, right? If you're trying to build, if you're relying on expensive equipment to make some stuff, hey, maybe going back to that open source project and saying, hey, is there a cheaper way to make this? So I would like to see more communication from our community of just saying like, well, hey, check out this open source thing for this. So use the comment section to be able to say, hey, here's another great resource if you're interested in this. I'm needing to find a cheap way to build a wrestling ring, though. So if anybody's like, oh, you're good
Oh,
to
is that one?
open source
Open
a
source
wrestling
ring.
ring, yeah, oh, great. That they normally cost $8,000. Can I open source it for 500? Um, and just doing that. That's what the comment section exists for. Let's all work together on this.
Yeah, just let us know. We're open source, just so you know, guys.
Yeah, open source Bertram.
Yeah.
I'm just always trying to get better. I'm not the best part of this podcast. Well, obviously Los is, but at second place is the fans. Second place is the community, not fans. Um, Los number one, then the community. Maybe we all work together.
Stop it.
Y'all are bright, intelligent individuals, even the ones who don't like what they listen to.
But yeah, thank you, everyone. Be sure to share this podcast, this show that we have with everyone, family, friends, loved ones, worst enemies. Follow us, YouTube, your favorite podcast player. Make sure to subscribe, leave a review, leave comments, just as we were saying. And this podcast is brought to you by listeners and viewers like you. Hey,
Oh
no
man.
sponsors just yet, but yeah, we're sponsored by your love and generosity of
Reading
curiosity.
Rainbow.
So yeah, on behalf of Bertram, I'm Los, and I'll see you not just on the other side, see you on the upside. Have a good one. Bye bye.